Hi, you're watching FRCD on CAN TV. Family Resource Center on Disabilities is a Region 1 parent training and information center in Illinois. You can reach us at 312-939-3513. We encourage you to visit our website at www.frcd.org, and you can follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter at FRCDPTI, and on YouTube at FRCD1231. Family Resource Center on Disabilities is not a legal service agency. Thank you for joining this episode of FRCD on CAN TV. My name is Paula Wills. I'm the Outreach Coordinator at Family Resource Center on Disabilities. And on this show, we focus on special education, parent advocacy, and resources for families of children with disabilities. And today I'm very excited to welcome our guest today, Stephanie Cantor, Deputy Director of Illinois ABLE from the Illinois State Treasurer's Office. Stephanie, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
So Stephanie is going to talk to us about this great program called the Illinois ABLE accounts, and she's going to tell families, especially families of children with disabilities, how you can start saving for your child's future. So, Stephanie, could we briefly talk about what the Illinois ABLE account is, and what is its purpose?
Absolutely. So Illinois ABLE, or L-ABLE, and that's spelled A-B-L-E, begins the Illinois Achieving a Better Life Experience program. ABLE accounts for the result of Congress passing the Stephen Beck Jr. Achieving a Better Life Experience Act in 2014. And Illinois ABLE started its first accounts here in the state in 2017. It's a program sponsored by the Illinois State Treasurer's Office. And Illinois ABLE accounts are essentially, they do two things. They are a savings and investment program that people with disabilities can open and save their own money and preserve while preserving their federal benefits that they may be receiving, such as Social Security, supplemental income, SSDI, Medicaid, HUD, SNAP, and so forth. There are also accounts that account owners can use the funds in these accounts to pay for expenses that come with living with a disability. Things such as therapy, buying an accessible vehicle, job training, education. The funds in these accounts can even be used for daily living expenses like clothing and groceries. These accounts in the state of Illinois, we offer 7 different investment options, 6 targeted risk options that people can choose from, as well as a 7th checking account option, which is very popular, comes with a free debit card. And it's important to know that earnings in on funds in these accounts and withdrawals from these accounts are tax-free as long as the funds are used to pay for what we call qualified disability expenses. Expenses like I just explained, getting home modifications, technology, personal care support. These aren't expenses that are necessarily medically related, but really cover a wide range of things that help to improve the quality of life for the account owner, who's always the beneficiary when it's a person with a disability.
I'm really glad you brought up that last term, quality of life. I think, often when families are preparing for their child's future, you think about things like, will they be able to work, where will they live? But there's community living. There's so many things that go into the quality of life. Keeping up with technology, keeping up with, the times. And I know there's such a fear about making almost too much money or having access to too much money because it affects, certain benefits. So, I mean, this is really exciting for our families.
Right. And, these accounts, Congress passed this legislation and states started these programs because these accounts were really intended to promote independence, improve and maintain quality of life, and be of benefit to the account owner. And I should say that the account owner is always the person with a disability. Um, so whether it's a child or an adult, the beneficiary is always the person who has a disability, and that is what.
Thank you. So can we talk about exactly who is eligible for able accounts? Is it all people with disabilities, or so
That's
what
a
would the person look like?
That's a really good question. There are eligibility requirements in order to own an LA-able account, primarily two requirements. The first one is the beneficiary. And I'm going to use some of these terms interchangeably: the account owner, beneficiary,
Hmm.
person, or eligible person with a disability. I'll use those interchangeably. So the first eligibility requirement is the beneficiary must have incurred their disability prior to turning 26 years old. So I imagine many of the families you're working with would fall into this category because they still have school age children. Um, this age limit is increasing in 2026, and it will go up to acquiring a disability prior to turning 46 years old. Um, so just good information to have, but right now it is acquiring a disability before one turns 26. The second eligibility requirement is that the beneficiary's disability must be a level of severity that they would qualify for Social Security disability benefits. So the basis for determining disability eligibility is determined by would someone qualify for whether or not they're receiving Social Security, supplemental income, Social Security disability insurance, and so forth.
Okay, thank you, because that's good to know. Because often we know that the term disability is encompasses a lot, encompasses all kinds of disabilities. So we want to make sure that people understand, who in terms is actually can benefit from this and who can't. So thank
Exactly.
you.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And there's so many different definitions of disability. So this program uses the definition of disability set forth by the Social Security Administration.
Thank you so much. So since you brought up social security, can we talk about how does having an Illinois Able account impact SSI, SSDI, or Medicaid? Because as
That's
you
a
know,
right. No, it's a big piece of what makes these programs so wonderful and so powerful. As you know, many federal benefit programs place caps on the dollar amount of assets that a person can have in order to receive those public benefits. I believe it's $2,000 for SSI. Um, so it doesn't allow people to save very much money and still be able to maintain that benefit. One of the important benefits of opening an Allable account is that people can save above that asset cap. They can actually save over time up to $100,000 in an Able account and keep their benefits. They would not lose their benefits. For example, a person who's receiving SSI or Social Security supplemental income or social supplemental security income is not allowed to more than $2,000 in assets, as we talked about. um, they can save up to $100,000 to keep their Social Security income. If they go over $100,000, their benefit would merely be suspended. They wouldn't lose the benefit. It would just be on pause until the account is brought back down to $100,000 or less, and then their benefits would resume.
that is fantastic because often, as I said, at Family Resource Center on Disabilities, we hear the horror stories. Like families are even skeptical about their children even getting a job because of Social Security benefits. I think I mentioned that earlier. And then, when you think about competitive employment and then just making that leap from having benefits to getting to the point where you can be independent and maybe losing those benefits while you're in the process of making that transition. So just, I mean, like this just creates so many possibilities for young people, adults, looking for like, true independence, like, at, I guess, whatever capacity. It opens the doors for quite a bit.
Absolutely. It's also important to know, Medicaid actually, there is no asset cap. So you can save well above $100,000, and still maintain Medicaid. Um, but it's for SSI, where you have to sort of $100,000 or less in the account, but it opens up a lot of possibilities. So
Okay.
while able accounts are asset protectors, we're not an income protector, but people who are earning income can use these accounts
Um,
to save.
Stephanie, I'm sorry. I just wanted the engineer just told me, is it possible you can bring your mic a little bit closer to your face?
Sure. Is that better?
Um, a little, even if at all possible, possibly even closer.
Is that better?
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, I got a thumbs up. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay. No.
No, but also yes, that medical piece, because when we start talking about healthcare and everything, sometimes that will wipe out some people just paying those monthly fees. So knowing
Right.
that you
And
can, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go on.
No, just saying, knowing that you can, like, start a savings. This is something that parents can do. You don't have to wait till your child turns 14 and a half. You can start this, like, now, today.
It, it is never too early to start saving. You can start saving, when your child's still a baby. Um, and build up that savings and be prepared for transition and help, prepare them for, adulthood by having that saving. Although these accounts are very transactional as well, and you can put money in and you can use that money right away. So some people, save for the long term. Some people are using the accounts and saving for short term goals as well.
Thank you. So, and as we're talking about savings, can we talk about the 529 college savings account that's to be rolled over into the Illinois Able account? So I know some
Yeah.
parents have already started saving, but they.
So, so able accounts are considered self-maintained accounts, A for able. They are sort of modeled after college savings accounts. And we know that a lot of people have a 5 to 9 college savings account
And I'm sorry to
established.
interrupt you again.
Yeah,
Somehow that mic, for some reason, it seems to have gotten away.
is
Um,
that better?
Looking at our engineers, is that improving?
Is that better?
We might need you to just talk a little bit louder.
Okay, so I'll try to type up.
No worries, no
Is that
worries.
okay? So I'm going to start over with the 529. So yeah, the college savings accounts, a lot of times when children are born or when they're young, the family members will establish a college savings account, and it may become apparent that your child with a disability, maybe college isn't going to be in the future, um, or maybe they're not going to be going to college right away, and so there is an opportunity to actually roll the funds from their 5 to 9 college savings accounts, such as Bright Start here in Illinois, into an ABLE account. Or a family, a family member can roll over their 5 to 9 savings into an Illinois ABLE account. There are sort of limits as to how much can be rolled over in a given time. All of that information is available on our website, illinoisable.com. Um, but it's really important to know that that money doesn't have to, you know, sort of not get used. It can roll over and is not penalized for that rollover. And it doesn't cost anything to whatever you have.
Thank you, thank you. And you sound great, by the way. Um,
Okay, good.
so I know we talked about who is eligible for an ABLE account, but like, so who can actually open an account? Because if we're starting at If let's say my kid is like 2 or 5, they're not opening
Mm,
anything.
no, absolutely not. That's a really good question. So if, who can open an account? So we know that the account owner is always going to be the eligible person who has a disability. But who can open the account can certainly vary. As Rick just mentioned, children are going to be opening an account on their own behalf. So authorized individuals can open these accounts on behalf of an account owner. And an authorized individual must be um, one of the following: be an authorized agent under power of attorney. That would most likely be in the case of an eligible adult with signs of someone agency under power of attorney. For a child, though, it could be legal guardian, parent, a sibling, a grandparent, or perhaps in the case, it could be a Social Security appointed representative payee. Um, this is what we call, well, it's a hierarchy. So someone it, who's in that list can be an authorized individual. And an authorized individual is always a trusted individual organization that has legal authority to manage an Illinois Able account on behalf of the account owner. And under federal law, authorized individuals are people who are not able to acquire any beneficial interest in an illegal account during the account owner's lifetime. So it's a really good question. So you may have parents who would like to open an account, but maybe you're working with children who have a guardian, so it could be their guardian. If a parent or a guardian isn't able to, it could be a sibling, an adult sibling, or a grandparent who can open the account on the child's behalf as well.
It would be so great if we could have this whole process at the actual transition meeting in schools. But is it possible could you walk us through the process of how does one go through the process of opening an ABLE account?
Am I able to share my screen?
Yes, yes, you
Okay,
should be able to.
wonderful. Okay. You can let me know when you see it.
Okay, something's happening. Okay, I see it.
Wonderful. So, opening an able account is really pretty simple. But I've sort of broken it down into a couple different steps here. The first step they always say is plan. It's identifying who's going to be the authorized individual responsible for opening and managing the account. There can be more than one authorized individual on the account. So let's say both are multiple people. One of the authorized individuals who can transact and manage the account. Um, to do that, one individual would open the account and we would add the second individual after the account is fully open. Um, we always say learn more. Read the disclosure booklet, which is available on our website. It contains really important information about the program. Understanding the fees that are involved, understanding how transactions are managed, understanding the different terms and definitions, understanding the different investment tools that are available. We also offer an article on our website called What Type of Investor Are You? Because we find that, one of the questions we get is, well, how do I know where to put my money? How do I know how to use this account? What type of investor are you? It's just it's general guidance, but it asks some really good questions to help people make those decisions for themselves. These are really self-directed accounts. So we don't offer advice, but want to empower people with information so that they can make the best decisions for themselves. So once someone's ready, and they've done their research, they've identified who to be an authorized individual, we do require some information to open an account. So we suggest people gather and organize that information, such as Social Security number, taxpayer identification number for both. I have 80 and 89 on the slide, account owner and first individual. We'll also need a driver's license or state issued ID, Obviously, if it's with youth and it doesn't have it, it's okay. We would need that also to be for as individual. Obviously, we need a date of birth for those who able and they apply. A permanent student, if it's different than a student, and it's also important to know that this is online, where if you establish online access to the account, only one email address can be used for the account. You can't have multiple email addresses. So identifying whose email address will be the primary account. And if you're going to be funding the account electronically, having a checking or savings account number and the routing number available. And that's all the time. While we don't require any documentation to to our program to open these accounts in most circumstances, we do ask that people maintain documentation on file just in case it will be requested later. These accounts are reported to the IRS and the IRS to ever do an audit. That might be the type of information that they would look for. And then once you're ready, you can go to our website, Illinois Able, INOISAVLE.com. You can enroll online. You can also download an application from the website. You can always call our customer service number, which is 888-609-8683 for assistance. And I'm just going to scroll to the next screen, which actually is our website, sort of abbreviated because of the format we're in. I just want to show where this information is available. You go to resources under forms. Oops, and I do it every time. Excuse me. There we go. I have to scroll in. You will see the enrollment form. If you click the top button, we have the option of selecting to do and complete this application online, where you can download it and print and mail it. So it's a pretty straightforward process. It helps if you have all that information up front before you start.
I was just saying, it looks really well organized, and I'm just like, as I'm looking at you go through the your slides, it looks like a really great teaching opportunity for not necessarily a 10-year-old, but you know that teenager who's transitioning into adulthood, because around this time they are, when they hit 18, they're going to be eligible for driver's licenses and have their own bank account. So being able to manage their own ABLE account is a whole nother level of independence.
And we found that there, we've had some stories and people telling us that the account has been a really great tool for teaching financial literacy. And showing how savings and making a budget and setting goals. What are people saving for? So it gives people, an opportunity to use it to teach.
Yeah, long-term planning.
Financial lessons.
Yeah, which I think sometimes even whether you have a disability or not is a struggle.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But
And for people who are turning 18, if they will be, if they're someone who will have legal capacity to be able to manage the account on their own, the account would be transferred to them for full authority over the account. But there is also, the opportunity for an authorized individual to maintain oversight of the account for someone who becomes an adult who will not have the capacity to manage these accounts.
thank you. Yes. So I guess as families start going through this process, what is the best way to stay in touch with what's new with the Illinois ABLE account?
Show me this one more time. What am I- this is really- Well, there's lots of changes that are happening. These are young programs. Like I mentioned, here in Illinois, we started our first class in 2017, so just about 6 years ago. And there's, the program continues to grow and evolve. So a really great way to stay on top of what's happening in the program, changes to the program, how to use the program, is to sign up for our monthly newsletter. We don't share any across, um, but it's easy to sign up. You can go back to our website, um, and the resources. We have our newsletter, um, and you can just sign up here, or you can email us at able@illinoistreasurer.gov. That's ILLINOISTREASURER.gov. And we always send out a newsletter about once a month. I would encourage everyone to sign up. And I did want to mention, starting next year, Paula, ABLE information will be included in students' IEP packages
That's wonderful.
that will be distributed by their schools.
Now that's, I mean, because I remember there was some talk about it last year, but
Mm-hmm.
we weren't sure like exactly how that would roll out. But I mean, that's fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic that, because finances is such a huge part of being an adult. I mean, it's important for a child, but especially, as an adult and understanding how they work, if
Right,
possible. Um,
absolutely. And I think again that one of the messages, never too early to start saving. Um,
Absolutely.
I
So
think sometimes people wait to transition. If they can start as soon as they know, that's going to be in the future.
right, yeah, you don't have to wait till transition to start this process, but it like as Stephanie says, it is never too early to start saving. With that being said, we are down to I think our last 30 seconds. So I want to thank you so much for this wonderful information. Thank you for I know it probably wasn't easy to get this program off the ground. So like yeah, let's definitely spread the word. Um, and Justin, thank you again for being on our show. So this is going to help so many parents.
I really appreciate the opportunity, Paula. Thank you so much for having me. And, please, if your families have to reach out anytime, and we're glad that, to have this opportunity. And I know that you have our information on your website as well. So thank you for that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you everyone for joining us this week. You've been watching FRCD on CAN TV. Enjoy the rest of your week.